Okay, so that was a interesting session, and I think we wanted to still go on. It looks like we still want to go on here. Again, we still have our last session to come up. A very interesting topic that we have chosen out here, which is building your brand identity through packaging. And I think COVID was the time where packaging really went to a different level. It was really a catalyzing moment for experimenting with packaging. And I'm going to invite Narayanan S., the Director of On-Premise Travel Customer Commercial Leadership at Coca-Cola India, to come on the stage and do the honors of being the moderator for this session. Let me invite Kanishka Mazumdar, the Senior VP and Segment Head B2B Stanza Livin, who's come all the way from Gurgaon. Let me invite Gitika Gupta, the co-founder of MOPP Foods. Very proud to say that she's one of my portfolio companies and was recently on Shark Tank India. I think she had the longest running episode, if I'm correct, and obviously she got a check from Amit Jain. Chaitanya Chita, from the founder of Slay Coffee. Chaitanya, let's have you on the dais as well. Gaurav Narang, founder Coffee Culture. Please join us. Munishwar Srivastava, the head of operation at Hong's Kitchen, Jubilant Foodworks. This is one panel that I can proudly say that I almost know everyone very, very well out here. It's a pleasure having you all on the stage. Over to you, Narayanan. The last session of the day, which will be followed by awards in the evening, and looking forward. Cheers. Just reminded me for cocktails in the evening, so there's a lot more coming our way. Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, Kapil. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an exciting panel discussion. Over the next 45 minutes, my fellow panelists will be largely talking through their insights on how they are building their brand identity and what is the kind of role the packaging is playing in terms of this entire exercise. We have an eclectic mix. We have a B2B partner. We have a Indian variant pakoda paratha seller. We have two coffee sellers out here, and obviously a Chinese QSR. So I'm hoping this is going to be an exciting discussion for all of us. Food service industry traditionally was always focusing on consumers walking into your restaurant, experiencing the ambience, pretty much all the variables in your control to give the product experience that you wanted to, as how you conceptualized it. But traditionally, FMCG companies have been very different, largely having zero control of the variables at play, where, how, and when you experience the product. And therefore, to a certain extent, FMCG companies have been the OG players in terms of trying to use packaging to bring their product to the fore and engaging with the consumers. Because at the end of the day, the physical packaging was the first point of contact for the end consumers with FMCG players. While I could do a shameless plug-in of Coke here, but I'm trying to think about an example of a packaging from an FMCG world, which is Nestle Kit Kat, growing up with a sweet tooth, pretty much having like a recreational drug every week / every day of chocolates. Probably the experience of unboxing, unpackaging, running your thumbs through the bar when you snap it is probably as important to the experience of eating that chocolate and not just the product in itself, right? So packaging has always played a great role. And with this evolving situation in our industry where we've had cloud kitchens or delivery-first businesses or delivery-led businesses where your setup in the restaurant, the dining, the seating, the experience, and for example, even the plating can't reach the end consumer apart from the container that's taking your product through the hands of a lot of these aggregator partners who probably don't even know how to handle them. So what we're largely looking at to hear from our co-panelists is how did they go about building differentiation, probably sustainability, in terms of tying back to what the brand communication and promise is all about to finally translate to a brilliant unboxing experience. So without taking much time, because there is a ticker running right in front of us, my first question, Gitika, I'm going to put you on the hot spot. There are obviously many restaurants that sell parathas and pakodas. How did you go about identifying your brand's brand edge to build a differentiation of the product as well as the packaging? And what's the kind of role that the product and the package has played in the overall brand promise at MOPP Foods?
Good evening, everybody. So as you rightly said, we strongly believe that in a delivery model, your product and your delivery, which is your packaging, are the most key important points because you're not giving the consumer any ambience, there are no drinks, there are no crowd, there is no nice lighting, there is no sofa. The only thing the consumer is interested is in the product, and when it comes to him, that is how he feels or how he is happy or sad looking at the product, which is your packaging. So packaging has become extremely important from a delivery point of view. So that is number one. Now coming to our brand, which is called Mad Over Parathas and Pakodas. So as parathas and pakodas are not meant to be a delivery friendly product, but we did an R&D and created the product which is delivery friendly. The parathas remain fresh even after 45 minutes of delivery. Our pakodas have the USP of being non-soggy, non-oily, and remains crispy till your doorstep. Because pakodas have basin has certain chemical properties that it soaks in oil at higher temperatures, and a chemical property that it releases oil at lower temperatures. So a lot of maths, physics, and chemical properties go behind in making the product first perfect, so that how it can remain fresh and crispy, especially our pakodas remain crispy, parathas are fresh. So one is making the product right, which is the first part, and the second is the packaging. So we have applied lots of angles, how much moisture should go, how much moisture should not go, where the heat should not become moisture, where the moisture should not reduce the heat. So we have worked on the packaging so deeply that it has played an important role in achieving our objective of keeping our pakodas crispy, not soggy, not oily, keeping our parathas fresh. And the way we deliver our parathas is like you eat food in a flight. So you open, it comes in an eco-friendly box. There are different compartments. So as you said, the unboxing experience, you open it, there is curd, there is gravy, there are pockets, there is a pocket for butter, there is a pocket for pickle, and there is a compartment for the paratha. So you open it, we manage it with a nice infographic hygiene kit which says, use me before eating, which is a sanitizer. And we started it in 2019, which is much before COVID. Then use me while eating, which is a dry tissue. Use me to eat is a cutlery. Use me after eating is a wet tissue. So it comes with an infographic hygiene kit. You open the kit, you use your sanitizer, you put your tissue, you use your cutlery, eat your paratha, eat your condiments, use a wet tissue, close the box with everything inside it and dispose it off safely. The whole delivery experience and the product makes the wow factor, and which is what we look at in a delivery model.
Thanks a lot, Geetika. Feels like a teacher, right? With science, physics, chemistry, and the entire how to eat parathas for dummies all built into one. So thank you for that. If I would sort of attempt to dig in a bit more there in terms of the multiple touch points of communication that you would have, it will be interesting to understand how do you maintain consistency of communication, of packaging, the typographics, the color, all of that in a packaging heavy business model that you would have. So if you could shed light in terms of what do you focus on?
It's a very, very interesting question because we have a brand which is called Mealy, where we do not invest a lot in packaging, and we have a brand called Mad Over Parathas and Pakodas where we invest in packaging. So what I would like to tell here is know your target audience. Knowing your target audience is extremely important because when the consumer orders your food and he looks at your packaging, if you want him to be a repeat customer or a loyal customer, he has to be invested in the brand. He has to be invested in the product. That can happen with the right typography, with the colors. Every touch point, whether it's a tissue whether it's your online branding, whether it's your packaging, whether it's your carry bag, whether it's a paratha box, every touch point should speak the same language. Whether it is fonts. So for example, you are a sustainable product, maybe use more of browns and greens. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian product, the color has to be more on the greener side. If you're a pure non-vegetarian or highly focused on non-vegetarian food, use more of red colors. So colors, if you're a serious corporate kind of a product, please use more formal fonts. If you are a teenage kind of a product where your target audience is, Gen Zs, use a funky kind of a font. So whether it's font, whether it's imaging, whether it's graphic, whether it's typography, whether it is colors, it all has to mold together at every touch point so that there is top of mind recall for the brand, top of mind recall for the product, and the consumer eventually gets invested in your brand, which will create. So I would like to say here, you invest everything in a company. The consumer will make it a brand one day.
Thanks a lot, Geetika, for that. Kanishk, I'll come to you next. You come in from a very different B2B setup, and that's also within the food industry. So how is your brand building different or similar to you versus your competitors?
Thanks. I come from a very young and very new concept, which is co-living. I represent a company called Stanza Living. We are India's largest co-living company today with over 1 lakh beds, serving over 1 lakh meals a day. And we are the only full stack company where we do our own co-living, we run our own kitchens, we do our own, there is no outsourcing here. We have two sets of customers, mainly scholars, which is the students community, and there is young working professionals. So, the biggest challenge that we have is we have Gen Z customers, those who are young, those who are raring to go, those who are leaving home for the first time probably. They have seen all the luxury at home, yet they're coming out now, living in our hostel, and they want the best in food, the best variety in food, but they want to spend little. So it's a very catch-22 situation for us, but I think with our company's ethos of the hero of your business is your core product. Tech is an enabler. Your interiors of the house of your hostel or your accommodation is an enabler. The core product of food and stay is where we focus, and that is where we have become winners in our line of business. And there is clearly a pre-COVID and post-COVID phenomena that has started working in our business. Pre-COVID, the parents were not interested so much about what their kids are doing and what they're eating and when they are leaving home. Today, I have to speak to the parents. They want to see the menu. They want to see what their kids are eating, how hygienic is my kitchen, what kind of products we are using. And of course, packaging is a big differentiator here, because simple logic, hot food hot, cold food cold. And how do I transport this food from my central kitchen to 1 lakh beds across the country? So it's a huge work that happens while we are completely tech enabled. I personally feel it's a beautiful mix of of art and science in the company. Art is all the chefs and the culinary minds that are working behind in the kitchens to create that menu with variety and at that cost. And science is our complete technology where our consumers can see what food is coming, what menu is there for the next 1 week. And we also have, by the way, an aggregation concept also. So if you don't like the regular Bain Marie meals, you can choose anything from our a la carte menu, and that will reach your room along with the meal timings. So we give a huge amount of flexibility to our consumer, and that's where we say when it comes to packaging, it swings in bulk cooking, how do we package bulk food, and it comes to a la carte also, how do we package, a la carte food to their homes.
So it'll be interesting to know a bit more in terms of this high scale, low value proposition that you have, and how does sort of, packaging help you both manage your cost, also delivering the consistent experience that you're looking at to deliver at this scale?
Great question. I think, when I say 1 lakh meals, it is very tough to imagine that the kind of cogs that we follow when we create our meals. And our meal cogs for 4 meals, which is breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner, is at the best of the market. Something like a Kormangala in Bangalore is about $100. And at the most economical market, something like in Indore, it would be about $70. So 4 meals in $70, 4 meals in $100 is a challenge. And with the inflationary trend that we have in the country, it's a challenge, but we still manage, and we still manage to create money for the company in terms when it comes to food. And as far as the menu is concerned, it's a very diverse menu. We have we have menus in our, which comes on the technology, which our chefs create on the tech. And the moment the menu is created, it is seen by our consumers. Then the consumer can also rate our meals in dish basis. So if they don't like an aloo dum dum aloo out of today's menu, they can rate that they didn't like it. And if any dish which gets a below 3 rating consecutive in 3 weeks, that dish gets debarred from the menu. So till we have redone the recipe, we have redone the stuff, you can't put it in the menu back. So when it comes to technology, I think we are deep into it. We really want to balance the art and science, as I say, and as far as the menu is concerned, while we do all this cooking, bulk cooking, what we say, and we have our cost, our inventory, and our delivery process, all absolutely processed to the T. I mean, there cannot be any deviation. A layman can run our process through technology. If one follows the steps that is created in the tech, there is very little chance of faltering.
Thanks a lot, Kanishk. Chaitanya, I'll come to you next. Could you please share with the audience a bit about your brand and product story, and how has packaging innovation, specifically in material and design, helped build a brand edge for you?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I represent a brand called Slay Coffee. For some of you, if you're not aware, we are a pan-India coffee brand. We started first as a delivery coffee brand. This was pre-COVID, 2019. So we're operational for the last 4 years. Now today we operate offline cafes also in Bangalore and Gurgaon. So what we do is when it comes to coffee, our brand's motto is simple. Great coffee every day. So we try to delight our customers who are coffee lovers, with a great experience so that they could consume good coffee, in the best way possible, either on the go, online, or at home. So when we started our online, it's very important for us to give a great experience. And in terms of a hot coffee, if one has to think, it has to be essentially delivered hot, it has to be delivered safe, and it also has to be delivered spill-proof, because beverage delivery, essentially means spillages. So with that as sort of, the objective, we did a lot of work, and fast forward 4 years into the journey, we've delivered close to 6.5–7 million cups, and we are one of the best rated, in fact, the best rated coffee brand when it comes to online Swiggy, Zomato. And the reason for that is essentially packaging is not a secondary, it's part of the product experience as far as what we are doing, right? So we had to go deep, we had to solve for, the materials, the experience. And also, it's important for consumers. Today, they're not just consuming a product. They're essentially consuming an experience. Product, obviously, is at the center of it. So what story you're telling, what brand ethos, what product story also has to come through very clearly. So, whatever key communication that we would like our customers to understand, we try to incorporate that in the packaging. And most of the times, people think the cost of how we deliver is actually very high. But the reality is, the cost is the same as, how anybody does in the category or in general. So it requires, I think there is a lot of opportunity for brands and operators to innovate. And I think that's been our personal experience. Also, when you can delight a customer with the product, you can further delight them with a great packaging experience because they're consuming sort of the entire thing. So we try to also include a bunch of other experiential elements. For example, all our coffees are delivered in a beautiful case, which has art, sort of crowdsourced from the customers. So it's, in a way, they're not paying for it, but they're getting something more, beyond what they paid for. So that's always a great variable, incremental delight the customers would love. So my, submission or what I would like to share with everyone here is that there is a great opportunity for brands to continue to understand that customers are increasingly becoming more and more sophisticated, more conscious in terms of, and it's also important the kind of materials we're using. Is it sustainable? Is it sort of earth friendly and whatnot? So there is an opportunity for us to think of product as a whole, not just packaging is just something that needs to get the job done. So I think there is a lot of opportunity across categories, across price segments. It doesn't mean that great packaging only comes for premium brands. That's also not true. We deliver a double shot espresso cappuccino for $120. It's not that we are delivering at 500 rupees, right? And we still make money, right? So I think there is an opportunity to really go deep. And I think a lot of consumer insighting also needs to happen. Study the markets, understand what customers are looking for. So I think that's essentially what's been our experience.
So you spoke about art and graphics on the packaging, and on the sidelines we were discussing about how does packaging play a role in your retention and consumer engagement. Would you like to sort of build a bit more there?
Yeah, no, that's actually something that we learned after we started. So we realized that a lot of customers actually are doing a lot of DIY projects with our packaging. Either they're making stationery items or they're sort of sajao their house. So I think we realized why not try to kind of engage customers with the packaging. So we do a lot of gamification in terms of either sending some stuff along with the packaging which they can sort of fill it up and share it on our social media, or in some cases we sort of nudge them to take an action. In some cases we also have a program where if they collect 10 Slay cases and send them back, they get basically 500 rupees worth of Slay coffee vouchers. So I think in a way, we all love to be engaged as people, as humans, right? I think if we give a reason for people to consume a great product, in our case a great coffee, along with that also nudge them to do something good, either engage them positively or recycle the packaging or create art out of it. Those are some simple hacks, I would say, simple call to actions for the customers, which also makes your brand memorable compared to the next brand. So I think those are some of the things we've done.
Thanks. It's a unique situation of using your packaging to build user-generated content and further talk about your brand. So thank you for sharing. Next, Gaurav, I'll come to you. Sustainability has largely been a buzzword for a lot of brands, and packaging obviously is increasingly a lot in the focus there. What does sustainability mean for you at Coffee Culture, and how do you make packaging also a bit core to that promise?
Check. Hi, my name is Gaurav Narang. I'm the founder of Coffee Culture. Coffee Culture, we have around 30 outlets in 21 cities. Like you just mentioned that how are we responsible, how are we more sustainable towards our packaging. With Coffee Culture, that has in fact been our brand ethos. What we always thought was that, sustainability just being a buzzword, more than a buzzword, it's more about Are the brands actually ready to pay that extra cost to make their packaging sustainable? Are the customers really ready to, spend that extra bucks? Say, for example, if I am using a premium packaging which is sustainable, are they ready to pay that 20, 30 or 50 bucks extra, which in the last panel, I think, there was Raghav talking about just that 50 bucks extra for a delivery hurts the consumer so much. So, despite all the fact that, we made sure that, we will go our way of doing things, we introduced CC Husky Cup. This Husky Cup basically is made out of rice husk, agriculture waste, and bamboo fibers. And this cup actually enables, we've also written it on the cup that, every 10,000 cup enables one farmer, helps one farmer from crop burning. And we've also incentivized this entire reuse and the entire circular economy by incentivizing the customer. Like we have it on the cup saying that, 10 bucks you get off on your next order if you get this cup back. And believe me, this cup is so sturdy, it can actually take up around 40 to 50 use. So, despite the fact that, today, if we actually get into such kind of sturdy packaging, we had a very difficult time, getting the lid made for this kind of a material, because normally lids are made out of plastic or PLA plastic. Making it out of a rice husk bamboo fiber it's very difficult. So we could crack it, and now since we are delivering it, we are also making sure that since our target audience is purely Gen Zs and millennials, so we really want to make that our cup also looks aesthetic. So we've also made sure that on Instagram we do a lot of cup holding content with the millennials, with the Gen Zs, so that it actually becomes a cool factor. It's very important that, once today we are bearing the cost, tomorrow they would definitely pay for what we are currently bearing. So, that's the kind of understanding and the kind of culture we want to build around the people.
Thanks a lot, Gaurav. And you obviously spoke about the fact that, it helps build that engagement, and also in a way is a retention strategy because consumers are given that incentive to sort of come back. Any early reads that you'd be able to share in terms of how that has been in terms of people coming back and, looking at this as a core proposition for yourself?
See, the basic idea behind, creating such kind of a cup was always this, that, we, as we all might know, that, a plastic cup takes around, say, 100 years to decompose. A paper cup, which most of the coffee brands actually use, and obviously Cokes and Pepsis of the world also use, it takes around more than 20 years to decompose a paper cup. And the cup which we are using, it takes around 3 months. So what we have seen, a small change is that, yes, there are consumers coming back with the cup over the period of last 2 years that we've introduced this. But at the same time, there is also an alternative use which is happening of the cup. Like, it's a part of a lot of kitchen pantry, which I've seen that, since the cup is so sturdy, females want to keep the cup in their kitchen pantry to store a lot of stuff in the cup. So that's the kind of culture which I think we've built over a period of time by introducing such a sustainable cup.
Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for that. Munishwar, I'll quickly come over to you. Hong's Kitchen obviously started off as a dine-in Chinese QSR format, and COVID's forced you to change to be a delivery-first format, and a lot of your consumers had the first experience of this brand in a delivery-first scenario. So how did you guys pivot your approach to brand building in the context of now becoming sort of a delivery-first business, and how has packaging played a role in that pivoting strategy?
Great. Hi, good evening team. Myself, Munishwar. I'm heading business for Hong's Kitchen. So, as Nayan asked, I tell you I correlate with one of the experience, okay? So whenever we go to any of the restaurant and we order food, we go restaurant for two things. One is to relish the ambience, and second, the taste, which is the brand the food is calling us. So whenever we go, so definitely ambience does not get changed very frequently. So whenever you are sitting on a table and your food is coming, the first thing what is happen is that you eat your food with your eyes. Okay. The same thing is in your delivery segment. So whenever your food is coming, your packaging product, so whenever a delivery boy is handing over your food to your hand, so when you are unboxing your food, so the packaging is basically its first impression which is creating about the brand. It is actually creating a confidence that yes, the food is very hygienic. Food, the company or the QSR brand or the fine dine brands, whichever the brand is serving the food, they are more conscious about the consumer experience and all. And secondly, how it is like the brand story. So now the packaging is being used for narrating your brand stories to the consumer. That is one of the biggest aspect we have now. So you can correlate the brand and sending your messages with your packaging which is having, and telling them about the ingredients what you have in that particular food, and telling about your nutrition's value also on that particular thing on the packaging itself. That's also creating a confidence level, and again then the consumer tend to order you on these things.
Interesting to see the packaging is becoming a mode of education to the consumer in terms of the product they're experiencing, because probably it's the first time they're experiencing that brand. And my second question is, can you help us understand how Hongs is building this quick service Chinese format, and how the visual identity of the packaging or the the brand as a whole is different to a very crowded Chinese category that you play in today?
So QSR itself means a quick service. Okay, so quick service is like whether it's a lunch, dinner, snack, whatever the period, you are rushing to the restaurant, grabbing the food, having a food, and quickly winding up in 10 to 15 minutes. That's how the metro cities culture and the things are getting up. So your packaging, so you have a nice bowl where you can have a noodle in that, or a combination of your bowl noodle with a Manchurian and all, and with a chopstick or a fork. You can take it on your hand and you can walk and you can have it. You can have a momo in a plate, a small plate which is being served, and eating a momo while walking also. So that kind of a creativity coming up in the Chinese segment, because initially Chinese was being mentioned like, if, for example, these days we take it as a Japanese or a Korean food, that you want to relish this food, you have to go to a particular restaurant, relish the ambience and the food and all. So before a decade away, the same thing was with the Chinese. Now we as an Hongs, we are turning around the concept on this thing. So we want to become a homegrown, one of the biggest QSR chain in Chinese segment, which is everyone can come up. As you see, couple of people knowing the brand called Panda Express in abroad. So what happened? You just go, you place your order, within 2 to 5 minutes you take the food and you move on. So we are also like challenging ourselves, 10 minutes or your food is free. So that kind of a challenge, you never get Chinese in 10 minutes. So that kind of a challenge which we have created with the tech enabling, training our team and getting the things into aces into places, getting things into 10 minutes. So it is also creating a consumer, yeah, let's go to Hongs, order the food, take it in 10 minutes, have it, and my lunch is over in 15 minutes or snack is over in 15 minutes.
Thanks so much, Munishwar, for this. The notice on the front says our time's just up, and we know that we need to have some Q&A from the audience. I'll pass that mic around, or if we can have someone open to questions, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Akash Deep. I'm co-founder of Uncle Peter's Pancakes. So obviously packaging is a very important tool, but when we say that packaging needs to be good, are we talking about packaging that keeps the food well, or are we talking about packaging that actually looks good? Because packaging that looks good comes at a cost, certain MOQs, and some quantities as well. So if I'm a new brand today, and if I want to start a packaging that also looks good, I might not have the OPEX to order those amount of MOQs. So my question is, if I want to start from zero and build a brand based on packaging, because on online it's necessary, where do I start? What's the first step?
So basically, you had two parts. One is whether the packaging should focus on the product or just the beauty of it. So most importantly, it should definitely focus on the product, because your product is something which you're delivering to the consumer. If the product reaches a consumer in a non-edible form, then as I said, there is no point. He's just looking for the meal at that time. He's not looking for anything else. But at the same time, the first experience the consumer has, the first feeling, happiness, sad, bright, smiling, irritation, is based on your looks as well. And as I said, that it depends on the colors, on the graphics. So it's a combination of both. It's a balanced approach that how your packaging can not only take care of the product, but also beautify your product to give a wow experience to the consumer. I will add a quote here. Steve Jobs had said once, packaging can be theater. It is you who can create the story around it.
Nice.
I hope it answered your question.
Yeah.
I'll just add to the second part of what you're asking. It's getting better. I remember our struggle 4 or 5 years back. It was obviously all the things you're talking about in terms of MOQs or getting the right kind of packaging done as you want. But there are a bunch of startups, happy to share. But that packaging as an industry is also evolving, especially within food. You have a bunch of startups in Bangalore who are actually solving. So I think happy to share that list.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we have mic here, please?
So while conceiving about the sleigh, the idea of coffee come first or the packaging come first? Because it is too engaging, too creative, that before even thinking about this coffee, I'm not a coffee lover, but I'm too much into this, indulged with this packaging and this creativity around it. And I think so many people actually like it. So how it happens that you think about the packaging with the coffee or after that?
So I was complaining rather to many also that sleigh is always, just people talk about just the packaging. But I think, the coffee we actually sell is pretty good. I mean, we have the best coffee. I mean, that's what we spend a lot of time in terms of the core product. I think it's also sort of a phase journey, right? When we are a new young brand, we need to kind of disrupt. And we are going to get the attention of the customer only when we do something very unique. That means 99% of the times, even now, our coffees are not spilled. They arrive, hot coffee comes 75 degrees, cold coffee gets delivered 5-6 degrees. Now we're on the next journey. Now we have blockchain-enabled traceability. A QR code is put on the packaging where customers can actually, scan and see which estate it's coming from, when is it roasted. So it's a phase journey. I think depending on the brand's journey, the phase, the customer, what they're looking for, there is a bunch of stuff that we keep layering upon. But I think thanks for your compliments.
Any other questions in the audience? No. So given the fact that we are well ahead of time, I will probably call this end. Mini or maybe Kapil, if you would like to take the next steps. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you to the panelists. I think we had a very insightful session. One of the biggest fears of every event organizer is an empty hall in the last session, right? But look behind you, and this is really, really something, and we're really thrilled for you guys being so interactive. The team has put in a lot of effort. I'm guessing you may have bumped into one of us, or all of us, hopefully, over the course of the evening, over the course of the day. And it's been amazing hosting you guys. And on the 7th edition, I think we've seen an easy 20 to 30% growth in terms of our audience, which is also, I think, worth a round of applause for the team. Thank you, everyone, and we hope to see you next year.
Is here for which all of us